So 1981, you came with Gold City. Let's fast forward 9 years later. Okay, Gold City, 1986 recorded, or 1987, I guess is when it was released. Recorded "Moving Up," which had the Midnight Cry, and
Correct.
from there, you know, you had Brian Free, Ivan Parker, Michael Lefevre, Tim Riley, yourself. Of course, Jeff Hollander came through the group as the bass player, and John Noski on the drums. But by 1990, there was Mark Fain playing bass.
That's right.
And Doug Riley on the drums. So you had a full band at that time.
We did.
And you led that process. But so Mr. Fox, Eldridge Fox, produced most of the early stuff. Is that correct? And
He did from in the early days up until about 1986. We did was my first real introduction to the production side of the records, which was something that I had a passion for and I always wanted to pursue. And so what happened in that particular situation, we did a record called Double Take Live. And so I started, I was arranging for it, and then I co-produced that particular record, When I Get Carried Away.
Okay.
And with Mr. Fox, and it was an honor to work with him, because I looked up to him, and he took me under his wing. And then, so we did that, and the next recording project that came around with the next year was Moving Up.
Right.
And so I did all the arrangements for that. There again, co-produced with Mr. Fox. And after that, I started doing things on my own completely.
Okay. And you know, I'll just not to get off the subject, but I read a review in the Singing News that came out in '87, I believe it was. They were reviewing Moving Up.
I remember that.
And they talked about how overproduced it was, how over-orchestrated it was, how Gold City was going contemporary and all this stuff, you know. And I laugh at it now, but, you know, I guess times were different back then. But that, you know, to think of that is just kind of absurd, I guess.
Jerry Kirksey, who was the editor-in-chief of the Singing News magazine at that time, and he was a friend of mine. We were both in Pensacola.
Right.
And so I knew Jerry well. And that became a running joke, because after he gave that review, and then the song Midnight Cry was #1 for 6 months.
Right.
And so, you know, after all that process had taken place, I'd run into him and say, "Hey, Jerry, how you doing, man? We're working on a brand new record. Can you give me the same review again?" He'd go, "Oh, get out of here."
So a few years later, Gold City's celebrating their 10th anniversary in 1990. You've got the band, the full band, Doug and Mark and yourself as the band. And in Gadsden, Alabama, you go at Gadsden Convention Hall and record what was supposed to be 10th anniversary celebration live. Okay, you're going to do an album, video, the whole works.
Correct.
Now, for those avid Gold City fans, we know the only thing that exists publicly is the actual audio recording of 10th anniversary celebration. So tell us kind of a little bit what happened. We know there was supposed to be a video, they shot some footage, but what happened and how did all that transpire?
Well, it was, there was a lot of work and thought went into that whole 10 years, you know, we're celebrating 10-year anniversary. So we actually brought in some, I called us some buddies to add to our band. Terry McMillan, who was alive at the time, and then Mr. Kelly Back, these are Nashville guys, came down, spent several days with us, you know.
Daryl LaCroix, I think.
Daryl LaCroix, yeah, my friend Daryl. And so we had, well, that gave us like a 6-piece band on for this live event. I was going to capture it all on video and audio too, of course. And so we worked hard. As it relates to exactly what happened technically, you know, I never knew the answer to that question. Something happened. We were recording video for that night. We had all instances. We had a video truck and we had a separate audio truck. But something happened technically That is not what I do, so I couldn't tell you, but it wound up, the video, we didn't feel, it wasn't usable.
Right.
It recorded the entire concert, I'm assuming it recorded the whole thing, but there were, some colorization problems, you know, in lines and different things going across. You could see it, but it was not something we could reproduce and sell as a marketable piece of product. It wasn't good. So, which I think times have changed now. It's kind of the realism in that is what sells anymore. You know, I don't know, to some extent I've heard, but
Well,
I was like,
hey,
ain't no way. I'm not putting that out there. We were like Martians. I'm not doing this.
Well,
So-
back, it was your 10th anniversary. You
Yeah,
wanted it to
I mean-
be big. You wanted it to be everything to be right. I
Right.
get that.
And so it would be interesting though, because I haven't done this in many, many years, to go back and see it again, to see what kind of opinion I would have now.
Well, it's funny that you say that, Gary.
No. Really?
Because a few weeks ago, we were cleaning out some things in the Gold City warehouse, and
Oh, wow.
we came across a VHS, a group of VHS. And as I took it out of the box, it said Gold City 10th anniversary demo tape.
Oh my goodness.
And I I got to the fastest VHS that I could find, which is not hard to, it's not easy to find these days because they're not,
Exactly.
VHS players aren't around.
Right.
So I went to my storage building. I knew I had one there, got one out,
Oh my
brought
God.
it home, hooked it up, because I had to see if it was what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I had to see it right then. I couldn't wait to get home from Gadsden so I could see what was on this thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, with the help of our friend Thomas that helps us curate stuff for Gold City TV, through his help, we digitalized the whole video. So it's in digital form, which I can
Okay.
send to you. You can watch it. But there are, and as you said, as we watched it, we understood why Gold City at that time didn't release it, because
Right.
there are some frame issues, there's some panning issues. You know, it's very raw footage. You know, that wasn't. I guess after they discovered that it wasn't usable, they didn't
Yeah,
bother to go
we
back.
decided, we made a decision.
You just
we
dropped
just dropped it. Yeah,
And there
we
wasn't
didn't, there,
any
were no, there was no
editing.
editing.
Right.
No, it was just raw footage.
But with today's technology, we have found a way to at least show the folks on Gold City TV some of that footage. It's not going to be in its entirety, but there are some shots, some things from that are just great.
And you do it, you can tell the audience, and I'm telling you, I'm hearing this for the first time. This is news to me. So it literally is. It would be very interesting to see this.
And it's great. I mean, y'all tore it down. I mean, the whole performance. You know, there was high energy. You know, there was standing
Right.
ovation for 5 or 6 songs. I mean, all your wives were there, and in the front, and
My
families
goodness.
were there, and it was just. It
And
was,
you know something else about that night? It had rained that afternoon, heavy rain. I do remember this. And that old building, there was literally water leaking from the ceiling.
Oh,
That,
no.
we were at towels back there, and we was afraid we were going to instrument stuff. So like between the video and the rain, and the leaking roof and everything,
Oh.
I can't wait to see this.
Well, they've tore the convention center down now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that's my understanding. I'm pretty sure they have. But
I
that was
hope
where
they-
they not only did y'all record 10th anniversary, that's where Big and Live was cut.
The Kingsman did years
Big and
prior
Live.
to that, right?
In
Yeah, I heard
'73. So that building has a lot of history, and of course, there's been many artists through the years that I know the Kingsmen, for instance, were on the same label, Benson, and they tried to do a video in Jackson, Mississippi, and they videoed the whole thing or taped the whole thing, and they got none of it. And that's when they had to go to
Sometimes,
Opryland
unfortunately,
and
things
re-record
happen,
it all.
yeah.
So
It
things
does.
happen in recordings
It
that,
does.
yeah.
It does
But that's
sometimes.
it's. I'm excited. It's like a kid for me at Christmas because we all on the current lineup of Gold City all just love the history and want to honor the history and then and preserve the legacy that you have. And I want to say this publicly. I've said this to Brian and I to both, but I want to say it to you. I appreciate you paving the way so that people like us can do this for a living and can carry out. And I hope that you're honored by what the group is doing to carry on the
I am,
legacy.
and I want to say thank you. Thank you for, we never did anything, and speaking for myself, and I can speak for the other guys too, because I knew their hearts. We never did anything that we did for any particular form of recognition, and because most people think, man, you get out there and travel that many days a year, and you ride in a bus, and you doing all that, you're forsaking home. Are you crazy? No. Well, most people don't understand it.
Right.
So it was nothing but pure calling and pure gifting and pure passion that led us to want to do what we did, and we were just following our hearts. So to be honored in the manner that you just did, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm excited about what you guys are doing to continue that legacy. It's going to be a great thing to watch.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Gary, for talking
you,
with us. And
All right, man.
hey, be watching in a couple weeks for the release of the very first. It'll be released in stages, but the very first video will be released on New Year's Day, 2024. The very first unseen, never before seen video of the 10th anniversary of Gold City.
I'll be waiting.
Can't wait. Y'all catch us on Gold City
Thank you.
TV. We'll see you.
Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be notified when more great content comes to Gold City TV.